live on a Cut Down Tuesday edition of Cleveland Browns Daily. I am merely Bo. He is the great Z. How you living? You're good. You were good. Nope.
Been good.
Nah.
I hit it twice.
It felt like it was.
I don't
maybe
know.
it was
It's so hard. The
booming
lights
through.
would be
I
so
don't
helpful.
know.
By the way,
Soon.
we haven't gotten a chance because too much
We
has
have
been going
business.
on.
We have real business.
Real business.
Real
but
business. Real work.
I want the people to know that the very top of the food chain
Yeah, that's right.
is getting us. The light is. It's happening.
It's happening.
It's happening.
At long last, it is happening. He's
Great.
thrilled. He's
great.
defeated.
No,
he's
he's
clearly
not.
defeated.
Yeah, of course. Buried under an avalanche of facts. That's the Hoff
absolutely.
is using that. He's burying people under avalanches of a
Avalanche
variety of
effect,
things
various
lately.
things,
Yeah, he really enjoyed that one. So that made me happy. All right, so here we are.
Wait, hold on.
Yep. Sorry.
I just like to say this because the ball will not spike itself,
Okay.
as we were once told by a great human who was on the show with us on a regular basis. The ball will not spike itself, gentlemen. If you listen to this program yesterday, I believe we had it. The breakdown, and when I say we, I mean you. You went through it. It's going to end up being pretty much exactly as you laid out
23,
yesterday. We were
27.
doing 23-27. We went through the various. We did it before we knew reportedly what was going to happen with Cade York, and then after.
That surprised me.
That did.
That surprised me.
That's fair.
Surprised a lot of people.
You can bet
Escalated
$9.99.
Yeah, fine.
It's fine. Safe.
Fine.
You're safe, pal. You're
Yeah.
still getting a gold jacket at that.
Thank you.
But as there are all of these reports swirling, and this, it's tricky from us from the standpoint of like some of this stuff is been released by us.
Yep. But
a great many of this
Is not.
is rather just reported. So you have until 4 o'clock. So you've got 3 hours. But you pretty much nailed the way this would look. So I just wanted to.
So let me go on what's been reported
All right, let's
and
go.
what we know and how that jives up. So yesterday, offense, we had 100%, jived up completely.
Yep.
2 quarterbacks, the 3 running backs, 6 receivers with David Bell being the 6th. We had that. The 3 tight ends and the 9 offensive linemen without a guard being kept. We also had that going into it yesterday for you.
Yep.
Defensively, what we said was either they could keep 2 kickers, which would mean 26 on D, or they would go with 1 kicker, which is what's happened now, and it would be 23-27 on the initial 53. And so what does that look like? Your 5 defensive ends, we've gone over that, Miles, Zadarius, Obo, Isaiah McGuire, Alex Wright, who will make the team and then move to IR. So there's 1 spot that's open. Here's where we don't know who is going to be kept and who's going to be wink released and then back. So you've got at the defensive tackle position, and if something's come out while we're talking, Uno, monitor this, let me know. But right now, the places that it could happen, and we'll talk about something else in a second, okay, are the 5th defensive tackle. So we know that you're going to have Dalvin, Shelby Harris, Siaki Ika, Jordan Elliott. The 5th could be Maurice Hurst. I believe Maurice Hurst will be on this 53. Now, is it today or is it in 2 days? That remains to be seen. Linebackers, we've seen the reports that Matthew Adams is on the roster. That's been reported. So if that is the case, that means 7 linebackers are going to be on the initial 53.
Yep.
I think. So you're going to have JOK, Awak, Sione Takitaki, Mahmoud Diabate is reportedly on, as we thought he would be. Jordan Kunashik, who will then go on IR, so that's your 2nd freed up spot. Matthew Adams and Tony Fields. Now, I haven't seen a confirmation on Tony Fields, but that's my guess right now, or that answers the question if it's Maurice Hurst. If all the veterans get kept, that's who would be out. Corner, but I think Tony Fields is in. 6 corners. Could be 5 or 6. Again, this depends. Like if Maurice Hurst is here because you've got Denzel, Greg Newsome, MJ Emerson, AJ Green. I saw a report yesterday that didn't have AJ Green on a 53-man roster.
Come on.
I was like, what? And then Jake just tweeted out, AJ Green's been informed he's making the Browns 53-man roster.
Well, yeah.
If Denzel doesn't play week 1, AJ Green's probably starting.
Come on.
Probably. I mean, I would
think.
think Cam Mitchell might be in the mix.
Maybe Cam.
Cam
But either
Mitchell,
way, he's on.
Mike Ford. So the 3 veterans, or the 2 veterans defensively that might not make the initial 53 but wink be back would be Mike Ford at corner or Maurice Hurst at defensive tackle. Again, my guess. And then you've got the 5 safeties. We've gone over that. Thornhill, Grant Delpit, Rodney McLeod, DeAnthony Bell, which we told you all along that was not a competition for that 4th spot. It It was could Ronnie Hickman be fifth? So you've got 23 on the offense. You've got 5, 12. You've got 9, 16, 21, 26 locks on the defense in terms of spots. And then there's the one variable, which is either going to be Hurst or Ford, I'm guessing. And if both of them make it, that means Tony Fields would not, but that would surprise me. So of those two, because then you're going to have Alex Wright and Kunasha go to IR, that one would be that veteran we're talking about. And then one would most likely be perhaps Michael Dunn coming back at the guard position on the offense, what would net you out at 24, 26. I could also see that extra position on the offense being used for a running back that has more than 10 carries in his career.
Yeah.
Because right now we have Nick Chubb.
That's right.
We have Jerome Ford, who has 8 carries in his career, and we have Pierre Strong, who has 10 carries in his career. So I could see a veteran running back be that 24th spot on the offense. But that's where you're at. It's all basically settled. We can talk about some of the people who will, who are not among the names that I talked about and what that looks like, who I think they want back on the practice squad. But, there was a lot made about not cutting draft picks, and Schwartz, Togiai, Cade York, Perrin Winfrey was released earlier this year.
Yep.
So and it's unfortunate, but it's also an acknowledgement of, okay, maybe we didn't get that 100% right. Let's get better guys in here. I would say that this 53 feels pretty good, but there was good tight ends released. So you wonder, Harrison Bryant with his health condition, could that be a spot? There were some good corners released and some good safeties released. And so could that be, on a DeAnthony Bell or a Hickman, could they be in jeopardy somewhere else? But I think for the most part, you're looking pretty good here in terms of what you've got with this 53. I don't expect the Browns to be super active, but there could be a couple of changes as always.
Here's what you know about this regime and this ownership. If there is opportunity out there, they will be quick to strike.
Yes.
So if somebody comes across in one of those position groupings, and certainly running back still seems to me like the most logical, but you mentioned corner and safety. Quite honestly, if someone with a high ceiling that has been released, it would not surprise me if you poke around and would be interested in that, because that's what Andrew Berry and Paul DePodesta and the ownership here has proven, that if opportunity presents, they will be quick to pounce. It's also really important. So much gets made of this initial 53. You did a good job outlining it there, but the initial 53 is not the 53. It will be different. You mentioned the 2 injury designations that we will have. There could be other things that happen here.
Sure.
So so much is made of today, but it's really not necessarily what it'll be next week.
Yeah, so you'll have today. Waivers will then happen tomorrow. Practice squads will be set up tomorrow as well, and you'll have an opportunity. I think you'll have a little more clarity at that point. And as I said, we have some procedural moves to make where you have 2 guys who are going to go on IR. So our 53 is really 51, and then we're going to have an opportunity to get back in there. I don't know what Browns Therapy just said. Tell Gibbe to stop eating at work, and I can't even imagine what is on that gift.
What camera would that be at?
Yeah. Was he eating
Were you eating, Gibbe?
Were you eating recently, Gibbe?
He was having a snack. Oh my God, it's great.
I walk by every day and just kind of, there we go. There we go. I walk by it every day, behind these 2 fine gentlemen here, and I usually make some kind of,
I got you.
Some kind of motion, and I was throwing my plate out. I was not eating.
He's got you. Looks like spooning some porridge.
Yeah, looks like you're
That's what he's
cooking.
doing.
You're working.
I like it. Yeah, very, very good. All right, so let's go through some of these reported cuts and then work their ways back in. The other thing I would say, too, is a lot has been made of Austin Watkins.
Yes.
Okay. Look, I mean, he flashed,
Yep.
but at the same time, when he flashed, I think it's hard sometimes for people to understand what preseason football is really about and what the objective of it all is, and that it is a part of a bigger picture that you're trying to use to determine the very, very bottom end of the roster.
Yep.
That's really what it is. So he is somebody who flashed. He could find his way back here
Easily.
on the practice squad. It would make sense.
And I'd be happy for him if he did not and was to get claimed somewhere else. For the Browns, here are the names that you've known, and certainly Austin Watkins jumped out. Demetric Felton, I'm sure the Browns would take him back on the practice squad. Tommy Togiai, they would take him back on the practice squad. Isaiah Thomas, who's injured right now, likely they will get him back onto the practice squad as well. That's just kind of
We just haven't seen Jalen Darden.
my guess is he'll be back. They were enjoying what he was showing prior to his injury. So you're going to have like 16 guys, I think, ultimately on this practice squad. A lot of them are going to be the guys that got cut off of this roster. I mean, that's just kind of the way that it works now in the NFL. They know your system. They've been into it. You're going to bring back a couple of guards, I would guess, for that practice squad. Obviously not Drew Forbes at this point due to his injury. But, Colby Gossett or Wes Martin are people that you could bring back. There could be guards that were cut around the league that you want to give a look at. Alex Leatherwood, for example, a former first-round pick. Maybe he's somebody because of his talent that you give a look to. Tyree Phillips as well. So there are names and guys out there that will change. But right now I think you're in a pretty good spot with this team. By the way, another kicker trade. The Patriots, this is from Ian Rappaport, just now trading Nick Folk to the Titans. And I kind of looked at the two of them, Folk and Hopkins. Hopkins has been more accurate over the course of his career, certainly more accurate inside of 50 for the last couple of years, but Folk has a 50-yard leg and obviously kicked in New England. So I wonder if the Browns, they obviously value just the kind of automaticness, I would think.
You just
but
need
Nick
the
Folk's
stuff.
been pretty good too.
Yeah, you just need the stuff in the 40s to go through. I mean, that's really where you want to live and how you want this operation to go. We, in terms of our team schedule, we will practice today.
Yes.
So, and this is, I'm just curious, will we have the cut down? Will the cut downs be done by 3, so that practice can be? Do they have to have that by that time, or can everybody are they still? You know what I mean? Like the deadline's 4 o'clock.
No, they'll have that cleaned up.
That'll be cleaned up by the
be
time
the
you get to
team.
3 o'clock.
That
So
will
by the time
be
we get to
this
3
team.
o'clock, that's your Cleveland Browns for right now until you go through waivers and all that.
By the way, the compensation, Andrew Berry, a trendsetter apparently. The Titans are sending a 2025 7th-round pick
that sounds familiar.
to the Patriots for Nick Folk.
Well, we had Tom on, was it yesterday, and asked him about Folk, and he thought that they were going to keep 2.
Yeah.
Potentially is the way that would go. They did not, as they do move him along. So we will have a practice today at 3. We will practice tomorrow, and we will practice Thursday, and then they will be gone for a few days. And back Sunday? Monday. Okay.
Back Monday, off Tuesday, I would guess, and then back on their normal
then
schedule.
game week.
Wednesday,
Here we
Thursday,
go.
Friday. Yep.
Yeah, bring on the Bengals. By the way, from that side of things, the Bengals have just 2 quarterbacks on their 53, so that would tell you that Joe Burrow is going week 1.
Well, they also
I would think.
My guess is they're only going to have 2 on their 53 anyway.
Right.
So they will have a third quarter. My guess is maybe Trevor Siemian comes back
Could,
on the practice squad.
Because Jake Browning was the one they kept, and then
my guess is that, yes, Joe Burrow will be ready to go week 1. I think we thought that all along. It is interesting that, we heard so much for them about them wanting to get that contract done, and it hasn't.
Well, that one.
How much does he want to go out there if he's not 100%, let's say, before he gets paid?
Well, it's a great question. I've heard nothing to lead me to believe that this is any sort of posturing from Burrow and that he would just – it feels like there's a tremendous amount of trust between organization and player on that.
Got it.
So I don't – but, yeah, I mean, I was just talking to Jay Morrison about this last week, and their thinking was that contract would be done, that he would be the highest paid quarterback in the NFL, and it would be a fait accompli, and away you go. The other one that is still out there needing to get worked out is Justin Jefferson. That Minnesota wants that deal done before
seems like that's
the
more
start.
likely based on what's come out kind of this morning, and that he will be the highest paid receiver in the league by a good margin.
Should be. Yeah, that's going to be the market now. He's going to set the new market on what that's going to be a little bit. A couple of undrafted free agents. You mentioned Diabate, Hickman. Both of those guys reportedly will make the original 53. So that's great for both of those guys. Anything else with this original? Or I think we kind of got it pretty well covered, right?
We got it
about where
covered
it's
for you.
at.
I mean, the people that you would be wanting, Luke Whippler made it. Hickman, yes. Diabate, yes. And then really what we're kind of waiting on right now is what happens with, Mike Ford is a name to keep an eye on, and then or Maurice Hurst, because that's going to determine, I think, a little bit of – I don't think it changes anything in terms of the outcomes. I just think it changes, the initial accounting of how it's spread out. But it feels like you're initially going to be at 23, 27, offense, defense split, and then after some moves, my guess is you'll be at 24, 26.
All right.
Going for the heading into week 1 against the Cincinnati Bengals.
And those are the hot topics of the day presented by Vivid Seats. Head to Vivid Seats to purchase the brand new Premium Terrace Experience. Your ticket comes with a pregame field pass, parking, all-inclusive food and beverage, and a $50 Browns Shop gift card. Visit vividseats.com or download the app today. Vivid Seats, official fan experience partner of your Cleveland Browns. We will go around the league coming up next. You listen to Cleveland Browns Daily, brought to you by Ballybet. Sports betting partner, your Cleveland Browns, coming soon. Now live in Ohio on 850
Now
ESPN
live, baby.
Cleveland, baby.
You are up.
Hey friends, Bo here for my team at Renew Home Exteriors, introducing new Ascend composite clad siding. It is beautiful, deep green look, available in 20 available colors. Keep that just installed look for a lifetime with this low maintenance siding. Plus, with Renew's price match guarantee, you can be assured that you receive the very best price for your exterior project, even after you buy. Renew Home Exteriors, very simply superior products, superior service. Visit renewestimate.com for more. And we have a report on Maurice Hurst as well, I believe. Did we have that? Hold on. You're not up.
We'll see there. As we told you, the pressure point for this roster the last spot is going to come down to Mike Ford at corner or Maurice Hurst. Now, both are vested veterans. I think both have the wink, wink, nod, nod ability to be back here. My guess would be they would err on the side of a corner who plays special teams in the event that things go haywire, and you don't get the player back. But I think I think we're pretty much at that point. We're pretty much going to be all set up there. So.
Yeah, and the other thing with the corner situation is right now Denzel Ward's up in the air.
Correct, and obviously
I did see him driving in today.
There is optimism that he will be ready to go for Week 1. But
nice way of driving in today.
Yeah,
it looked great.
Good.
So
like to see that.
That's very, very positive. All right, there's a lot going on around the league as well, as you can imagine there would be, as teams are scrambling to get down to 53. The Colts are telling teams today is the deadline for teams to trade for Jonathan Taylor. Do we think a deal gets done by 4? Tick-tock, tick-tock. They're going to have to change their asking price.
If
they're
they
not getting
want
a 1.
To, but here's the thing. Unless he needs to play to accrue a season. So he really has no leverage.
No.
So I don't see why they would give him away. That's it. I don't see any reason why you would just give him away. Don't get it. So I don't think nothing behooves them to take what they think is below the valuation. It doesn't behoove them to do that. So I don't see his leverage for this year. Now you could say, what is his leverage for next year? Well, his leverage next year is he could walk, not come back, and they get nothing for him.
Well,
but if he signs a big deal, you're going to get a compensatory third anyway.
Right.
So, I don't see much leverage for him in this. I don't know. Apparently there are 2 teams involved. That always helps because, then you can create some type of bidding situation. But reportedly, and these are for the people much closer to the situation, this isn't anything that we're there, that nobody has made an offer that is even close to what the Colts are asking for. This is just recently from the Miami Herald reporter Barry Jackson. The Dolphins and Colts remain in discussions on a Jonathan Taylor trade, and it is a quote-unquote fluid situation.
There you go. You got 2.5 hours. If you're going to try to hold up to that 4 o'clock deadline, the Vikings are taking calls on former first-round pick Jalen Reagor. So he hasn't really done.
No,
much
I think he's a decent returner, but that's about it.
Von Miller on the PUP to start the season. He's missed the first 4 weeks. The first 4 games for the Bills are the Jets, the Raiders, the Commies, and the Dolphins. So the 2 big divisional games kind of bookend that one. Jets, Bills. Is that Sunday Night Football?
Feels like it's got to be, right?
Right, Week 1. That feels like it's got about all the juice in the world right there.
Yeah, that's all you want.
That would have that. Did you watch?
Or is it Monday night? Do they open the season on Monday night?
Monday night.
Yeah,
Monday night.
Yeah, I knew it was.
Yeah. All right. So that'll be the big winner on that one. Did you get a chance to watch Hard Knocks last night?
Was it last
night?
Oh
no, it's tonight. Tonight. I saw a clip. It must have been a preview. I didn't get it. I was thinking
the one where he tells the guy to back up. You're not blitzing.
It could be this ridiculous bug bite that I have.
Yeah.
My brain's going haywire right now.
You had me confused because there was a good stretch when we went to the Greenbrier and that I had no idea what day.
What day it was. Yeah.
But now I felt pretty confident today was.
Yeah.
Tuesday.
Today's Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Today's a Tuesday. Yeah. Yeah. So I had this for the audience. I got bless you. God bless you. I'm at football practice last night and I get this. There's this bite on my knee.
Yeah, you've been ravaged.
And I've been ravaged. And I whacked it, and there was some blood, so I thought, mosquito something. But then I did notice as I hit it, it felt heavier than a mosquito. Like it was a little bit girthier. So it flew to the ground, and I thought nothing of it. And it kind of itched throughout the evening, but nothing that I couldn't handle. And then this morning, pretty decent amount of pain in the knee.
Yeah, it looks and
it doesn't look
swelling.
Right. No, I've got swelling.
I've got swelling.
Some sort of. My wife had some sort of at-home treatment that she tried, and then we've got some sort of topical thing. I mean, Nana might have an answer for me.
Bug bites are tough because when there's venom involved, it just needs to run its course. You're fine.
Jeez, are you sure?
Yeah, you're fine. You're safe.
I feel kind of dizzy now.
You're good. You're good. You look great.
All of a sudden, it's a
Wednesday. Master quarter zip. You look great.
It's a great. I got to tell you, as quarter zips in Orange come. This one and the Congo one are
tremendous.
As good as
that one right there, top 100 teacher in the Mike Dixon, official teaching pro of CBD.
You're not just going to anoint someone the official teaching pro of CBD without that type of resume.
Correct.
Let alone Browns fandom.
It's
just not going to happen. couple other minor things going on around the league. Big news in the state from a football perspective. Ryan Day at noon today announced that junior quarterback Kyle McCord will be the starting quarterback this week for the Buckeyes against Indiana. He held off sophomore quarterback Devin Brown, although Brown will play as well in this game. What do you got?
When you have two quarterbacks, you don't have any.
Well, that's my sourcing down there, which is usually pretty good. Tells me that neither one has been really lights out.
Yep.
They've had some moments, but neither one has been lights out. Now, both these guys, like everybody they recruit down there, McCord was a 5-star. Brown was a 4-star who elevated to a 5-star really late in the process. We just have never seen Devin Brown play.
Right.
Kyle's played a little. He started 2 years ago against Akron. But we haven't really seen him run the functional offense. We've never seen Devin Brown do anything. So, it's probably at that position, it's probably as nervy as the Buckeyes have been since probably like the 2011 season when Pryor was kicked off and they went with Joe Bauserman and a freshman Braxton Miller. It's probably the most nervy they've been at the position. Both these guys are really talented. It's just that they're going to play 3 top 10 teams this year with Notre Dame, Penn State, and Michigan. So this doesn't surprise me that McCord won the job. But it's tight. Go ahead. What do you have?
No, it is kind of incredible, all the kicker trades. Did you talk about the Broncos one? Did you hit that, or did you hop down to Ohio State?
I skipped the Will Lutz deal.
Yeah,
they've
not
traded.
bad.
Yeah.
Will Lutz.
Yeah.
Reunited with Sean Payton. So they cut McManus. There's a lot of kickers. Now, Will Lutz was not good last year, neither was Brandon McManus. They were both in the 70% range. But just wild. You've never seen this before?
Yeah.
It's never happened. And then there you got AB setting trends out there.
Well, so who are we talking about? You're talking about New England, us, Denver,
Tennessee.
Can you tell me what conference all of those are in?
AFC.
Can you tell me what we always say about that conference?
Very tight, very competitive.
Razor thin, baby.
Razor thin. So you got to have somebody that you feel like.
So you can't – all of these teams – Denver, us, Tennessee. I mean, you may laugh at Tennessee, but they think they can win the South.
Of course.
They've done it.
It came down last year to the final game, and they didn't have their quarterback. They played our former quarterback, Josh Dobbs.
Yeah. So, you're trying to get to the postseason. You're trying to be one of the 7, and everything that you can do to not have it come down to a kick, you're going to do.
Yes.
And that's the reality of that situation. So I think that's why this is happening, because there's no margin. Everybody's good. There's a dozen teams in the AFC that think they are playoff teams. There's probably 8 that think they can go win the Super Bowl.
Yep.
So that's just the reality of that situation. There's no margin. You can't have it. The Cleveland Browns avocados from Peru and Meyer want you to enter the Ultimate Football Sweepstakes for your chance to win a 2023 Ford Lightning electric pickup, a VIP tour of Cross Country Mortgage Campus, and a $1,000 Meyer gift card. Visit your local Meyer or clevelandbrowns.com/avocados for more on that. We'll do a little fact or fiction coming up next. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily, brought to you by Bally Bet, sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns, now live in Ohio on 850 ESPN Cleveland. This from Ian Rappaport with a kind of a quote tweet of Around the NFL, which is a social account that tracks like some of the comings and goings. The Dolphins agreed to rework the 2023 deal of Cedric Wilson for $720. You guys are up over there, by the way, Gibbet, just so you're aware. The Dolphins, of course, have been one of the key teams in talks with the Colts about Jonathan Taylor, and the extra $3 million in cap space would help there.
It would, but the issue is not his cap number for this year, right? It's going to be about draft compensation.
Initially, it's going to be compensation, and then it's going to be.
But he's on his rookie deal still.
Yeah, but I'm guessing that. Don't you think it would be like you do the deal and you get your new deal?
Most likely, but typically in these new deal extensions around the league, as we know with the Browns, that first year salary cap number would be very, very low.
True.
So this, I don't know that. I
don't know the Dolphins cap situation as it is right now, just absorbing him on his rookie deal.
Let's see.
You know, could they do that?
If you filibuster for a second, I will get you that answer.
Yeah. I'm going to tell you something real quick as you're looking that up, and I guess I should look ahead to make sure you don't have this somewhere else in the show. I don't think that you do. Yeah, there's Jake. The Ryder Cup stuff was today.
Yeah.
They got to do that at a different time of year.
Yes.
Put it in the spring. Put it first week of March or.
By the way, you can your last major is in July.
Right, like do it second week of August.
Yeah.
Like, I know they want to finish the Tour Championship before the NFL, which they did last weekend, but like to have, like I would love to watch this. This is in Rome. I've never seen this course. Like that would be fun. I love the team competition of it, but like in the middle of football season, it's just not. There's no room. There's no room for it. Just move it, man.
Yeah.
There's all sorts of places. If you move, you could move it to so many different times a year, spring or earlier in the summer.
Isn't it every other year for the Ryder Cup, or is that every 4 years?
Every 2 years Ryder, every 2 years President. So, right? Isn't it that the deal is every year you have one of them?
Mm-hmm.
I think so.
Yeah, I think so.
So the Dolphins are currently $11 million under the cap, so they would have no prior even to that Cedric Wilson transaction, because I don't think that's updated yet. So they would have no problem adding him. My guess is, if anything, that was done to give a new contract to Christian Wilkins,
who was also angling to be
paid,
compensated.
And so that could be a way that they don't have to go so low on the first year, so that they wouldn't go into 2023, 2024 with it. I mean, why is it at this time of day, all of a sudden, like we're surfing around and everything's just hunky-dory, and now I can't get a website to look?
I don't know.
Isn't it all locked in?
Yeah, but there was.
It is.
There
might be a big
file
transfer going on.
Yeah.
That's usually what happens on that.
Yeah. Anyway, so no, there's plenty. They have plenty of room. I think it makes sense that they're tying it to that. Now maybe this is completely reckless speculation, but maybe maybe they're saying that if you want to do this, you also have to take some contract that the Colts don't want it anymore.
Oh, like take a bad one from the Colts to get Taylor?
Yeah.
It's hard for me to believe that if the Colts do indeed trade him, it feels to me like they would be in the conversation to be picking in the top 3. Because Richardson's going to be erratic as hell.
Yes.
I mean, he's going to be all over the place. He's going to do wow plays, but he's going to complete 50% of his passes, and he's going to be a mess.
What's wild to me, though, is that he is the perfect complement to Richardson. That's exactly
Taylor?
Yeah,
of course.
Like
that's
exactly
what I'm saying.
what
like
you
if they
want
trade
back there.
Jonathan Taylor,
Yeah.
you're basically saying we're going to be picking second or third in the NFL draft. Arizona's going to pick one, and we're going to pick second or third.
Correct.
That's the way it seems to me.
Correct.
And then maybe they get Marv to go play where his dad did.
Which would actually be pretty cool.
That would be
That
cool.
would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys saw, so yesterday was the debut, right, of Michael Irvin and Richard Sherman.
I was going to bring this up, actually, so I'm glad you did.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was insane. So it was
First of all,
Irv,
it was awesome.
Sherm, Keyshawn, who's
Get him out.
Get him out. You don't need him involved in any way.
Addition by subtraction. Those two are
They're good.
perfect.
The idea that you needed all
Honestly,
three.
you don't even need the other guy. Just give me Irv and Sherm.
But yeah, those two. Well, right. Those two guys. Yeah, but those two versus. Yeah. So like you're going to talk about the.
So there was a
Irvin
discussion, where Michael Irvin said that he gave CeeDee Lamb advice to start catching the ball with his body and not with his hands. And Richard Sherman went bonkers, like berserk.
That's
That is totally everything you're saying is wrong.
Yeah.
Like they say you end up dropping so much easier to get the ball out if you do that.
Yep.
On and on and on. Basically says that you're wrong. Everybody's chiming in on this, and basically Irv is now a one-man island. He's on,
Of course he
because
is.
he is, because nobody would say. I mean, like Larry Fitzgerald is like the best hands catcher in the world. That's what you got to be. You got to be a hands catcher. They talk about
of
it.
course. If you're not a hands catcher, then you're not
Then
you're
you're
not
not good.
draftable. Like,
Right.
come on.
So this was, I thought, one of the more hilarious things that came out of that. Number one, if you haven't seen the video, seek it out. It's awesome.
Very
Number
fun,
two,
yeah.
Terrell Owens, 16 hours ago on Twitter. Every receiver coach and head coach is cringing right now listening to this notion for receivers to catch the ball with your body. In some cases, yes, but this isn't bad advice. This is terrible advice, and I have more TDs than Keyshawn and Mike combined. I'm Team Sherman on this one, which I thought was a nice little drop there. Quote tweet today, 2 minutes ago, from Joe Banner. I'm standing with T.O. How many people ever thought you would see that?
Wow.
Yeah. How about that?
Those two come full circle. That's
That's
pretty
right.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. Now I will say that that's pretty good. Yeah. I will say that it did work for Irv. Irv is he is a body catcher. He catches it. I mean, how many times he would get down, he'd get it like this. I mean, that was the
For
way he did
sure.
it.
But even if he's like running a slant, he's not catching. He's still.
No, he would. You don't remember him like that? He was always doing
He
it
liked
like
to be
this.
like this.
Always.
But I mean, that's a wild thing.
Well, of course it is, but he's Irv.
He is Irv. Yeah. It's just
It's all in the brochure, brother.
it's just an incredible. I just thought the discussion was so awesome.
Yeah. 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 It's just those two.
Yeah, Keyshawn was like had no business. He has no business being there.
He's a little bit like the football A-Rod to me. Like, I don't understand why he keeps getting – what's the appeal? What am I missing?
A-Rod, though, is one of the all-time greats.
He's also one of the most unlikable players in baseball
100%.
history.
I'm saying Keyshawn's not an all-time great.
No, but he's
That's why
he's a fine-
A-Rod.
Right, but who is saying to themselves with either one of them, more of them is what the people want.
I don't know. A-Rod.
A-Rod's
had-
no question, he's better, but
and a
he
high
got pinched
profile.
twice.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it was kind of anti-clutch, more than anti-clutch when he was with the Yankees.
Yeah.
I have that clip if you want to hear it right now.
Well,
Yes.
we talked about it. Yeah, let's go.
Let's do
Let's
it.
do it.
Big
He
P.
finished. I told him, I said, listen, man, with all these people around you, learn to catch this ball in your body. So in your hands, you tighten up, ball goes through you. Or you tighten up, ball
That's
hits
the
the ground.
worst advice I've ever heard for a
now-
receiver. Don't catch it with your hands, catch it with your body.
How
If
you
I'm
gonna
playing-
tell me that's the worst advice?
I'm playing
only
defensive
one of the
back.
best to ever do it at playing that
What
game.
I'm saying is,
I don't know how you
you
can tell
gonna say
me the
catch
worst
it
advice.
with your
In
body
all of
and
my-
not your hands.
It led
Help.
to championships on every level. What I'm talking about doing, I won championships on every level doing. I don't know how you gonna
If
say
you don't
that's
say
bad
that, if
advice.
you don't say-
How is that bad advice?
Because if you're telling kids to catch with their body and not their
no,
hands,
Sherm, you gotta listen to what he's saying.
One second.
No.
I
Thank you,
understand what he's
King.
saying.
Thank you.
But
Fix
what I'm
it,
saying,
King. Fix
I
it.
play quarter.
Trying
If you
Fix it,
catching
King.
it in your body, you bringing it that close, and I'm on your back, I'm getting that out of
not what
here
it is.
every single
No, you're
time.
not, buddy.
I'm getting that
No,
up
you're
out of
not.
here.
No,
You're not bringing it in your body.
No.
Catch it with your hands
No,
out
you
here.
can't
But what
catch
I'm
it.
saying is, y'all are making excuses, saying a professional,
we're
professional,
not.
12 games.
I'm telling
He
you
played
not.
12 games.
No, we're
It don't-
letting you. We're trying.
Y'all are making excuses. Y'all just said it was because of
They're
CD
not
Lamb.
excuses. They're not excuses.
No.
Y'all just
It's not
said it was
excuse-
CD Lamb
Let
for
me-
he threw 15
hey,
interceptions.
No, I didn't say it was
Let me-
CD Lamb.
let me-
I said he dropped some balls earlier.
Let me break
If
it down
that's
to the
fact,
much-
You said facts earlier. We talking facts.
Mike, let me break it down in a much simpler fashion, real quick. What Playmaker is saying, though,
Thank you.
is that when you have people around you,
Your
not
body
one
naturally
DB,
tense up.
you naturally tense up.
That's
So
a
therefore,
natural thing.
protect yourself
Thank you, King.
to be able to catch the football.
Come on.
top of that, when you talk
You a
about
DB,
12
y'all don't even
games,
catch.
when you talk about
Led the
12
decade in
games,
interceptions.
when you
Okay.
What's the MVP of that whole
Every level.
Every level.
Every level.
I'm going to start using
Championships
that.
on
I'm
every
going to start
level.
dropping that at the boys at football practice. On every
I
level.
think you need to
Every
drop it in
level.
video game playing.
Oh, my
Champions at every level.
Every level.
Every level.
It's amazing.
Like what I feel like what they needed to do right at that moment
Yeah.
was go out onto the lawn outside of the
Yeah.
studio and have a quarterback and Irv's going to run one-on-one against Sherman and catch his body, and Sherman, is going to punch it out, and then we might get a fracas, a melee, who knows? And every championships on every level. He said twice for emphasis. I loved it. And then Keyshawn's like, guys, let me talk. And they're like,
Nah.
no. Unbelievable.
No
Look,
shit.
oh, by the way, Tuesday.
button up.
Look at this. On a
Tuesday?
It's Tuesday.
Look at this.
Look at that. A little
Oh
English
my
blue.
gosh.
Goodness gracious.
Behind the back toss.
I
and a
said, what is
dive?
this? This is a big day.
That's
on
a
a
big
Tuesday.
day. It's a gorgeous blue.
Oh my God, isn't it?
Gorgeous blue.
Not
Shoes
French.
that end in an A.
English.
English blue.
English blue.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very nice. Very, very nice. You want to play a little facts or fiction, Gibbe?
Sure, if you'd like.
Let's do
I
it.
mean, you guys were on a roll, but
No, we're good.
We were.
We're good.
We were
so
on the roll.
I've adjusted the fact or fiction questions
Right.
because a lot's happened since I put these together an hour ago.
All right.
Well, plus you all, if you just listened or the crystal ball, Gibbe and I actually had a really nice roster sesh on the plane. Really,
you guys
he had
got
it.
it
He had
locked
it.
in?
He had it Saturday afternoon, with the exception of one thing, obviously.
Well, that's what happens. We were waiting for a while.
Did that feel like the longest 90-minute flight ever?
That was not 90 minutes. That was over 2 hours. We were out over the lake forever.
I
you
know.
couldn't
Like,
land?
I looked down and I'm like, how did we end up over, like, not over the lake, like on the east side, like circling, because that'll happen sometimes where you circle around like Menor, Painesville,
over
Yeah.
and you make the turn and come in. We were out, like, to the north.
Yeah, like we went up through. It's almost like we went up through Chicago and
Yeah.
then over instead of just.
It was.
Straight
I
line.
looked down. I'm like, I don't even see a city on the other side. Like I could see.
Oh,
like,
really?
And I'm like,
You were just
Where-
like out of the middle of Lake Erie?
where are we?
Canada, baby.
International waters.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Little
All right.
Put-in Bay.
Oh,
Get up there. Little Kelly's.
there we go.
They had some big players up there. Who'd they have? Pitbull, and
Pitbull?
Luke Bryan?
Is
were
that
all-
real?
Yeah, they do
I
it. Every,
read
they
that.
do it every year. They do their bash on the bay. It's a pretty awesome event.
I
I've
bet
been
it
told.
is.
Like,
Yeah, I bet.
it's
There's a tone.
shenanigans.
Yeah,
I
lots.
can tell you that.
Lots.
All right, number one, the Browns roster 1 week from now will feature a linebacker not on the current roster. Fact or fiction? Zagura.
I think that'll be fiction. You've got JOK, Awok, Taki, Diabate, Matthew Adams for special teams, and Tony Fields. So I would say that is fiction.
If he said it, it's gospel.
Well, I don't know. I mean, there could be they will never hesitate to upgrade the roster, but it
No,
feels
but it
to
doesn't
me
feel
like
that's
fiction.
a position where they would.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just trying to look at who else has been kind of cut and on the block, and I haven't seen anything.
All right. I want to give the people one of the questions pre-edits.
All right.
Gibbe, we went through this yesterday and on the plane. The Browns' original 53-man roster on Tuesday will have more offensive players than defensive players.
Give it.
Hey, man, I said I adjusted it.
Yeah, but you knew that. You knew that yesterday.
Yeah, but as I was putting it together today, I might have been in the middle of a meeting and was like, that sounds good in theory.
It does sound good.
Well, here's
I
what it
like
would
And
do,
then I
though.
was like,
Here's, hey,
that's
I'll
not
stand
gonna
up for you, Gibbe.
Yeah.
Not everyone listens to every show.
Yep, so you get
or
it.
every minute. So you get to reiterate.
He's leading us
something
back to it.
That brings us right back to.
Genius.
Oh my gosh.
Next,
Genius.
Fact or fiction?
the biggest winner of the Browns preseason,
What'd he say?
Dorian Thompson Robinson. Fact or fiction? Bishop.
No, I mean that's a big one. I think there are two that are the biggest. He's one, but I think the even bigger one is probably DeJuan Jones. The fact that he played that much and that well at a position where he could actually come into play on the actual roster and start sooner. There's a more immediate need, not necessarily next week or whatever, but theoretically, DeJuan Jones could be like a game changer right away. DTR is a huge bonus, baby, but Deshaun Watson's the quarterback of the foreseeable future. DeJuan Jones playing at this level and validating his talent and showing up in the camp he did after the pre-draft process, I would say he is the biggest winner.
Zagura.
I'm going to go a completely different direction. I'll say the biggest winners of the preseason were Mahmoud Diabate and Ronnie Hickman, because those are two guys that at the start of this process, I don't think anybody was really talking about them to actually be on this initial 53-man roster. DeJuan Jones we knew was going to make the team. We didn't know he was going to look as good, to your point, DTR was going to make the team. We didn't know he was going to look as good, to your point. But I think the two guys that changed their lives the most this preseason would be Mahmoud Diabate and Rocket Hickman.
Next.
I like that.
Fact or
I do.
fiction?
I like that as well. NFL big picture. Von Miller will miss at least 9 games in 2023. He's already missing the first 4 on the PUP list. Zagura, fact or fiction?
It's it's based on nothing right now, right?
Guessing-
My guess
guessing
is
just health. He was banged up last year though too, right?
he was
Correct.
rolling till us. He got hurt
Yeah.
against us. I think that 9 games. That's a pretty good buffer. So I think he won't. I think he will not miss 9 games.
That would be the safe bet to say that he wouldn't. But I do start to wonder if all this stuff starts to stack.
that a
Wouldn't
spring
surprise
chicken?
me.
Once you start getting hurt,
yeah.
they don't stop.
He's up there.
Next.
Fact or fiction?
Chris Jones will not suit up for the Chiefs 1 week from Thursday night in the Chiefs opener against the Lions.
Fact.
Bishop.
Fact. He's not. No. And I think they're prepared for it and ready to sit it out and wait it out.
Chris
And-
Jones?
Yeah. And they have plenty of time to look. They just won the Super Bowl. They still have the kid at quarterback. So, I mean, it will. They don't really need him now. Honestly, like they can tread water for the.
They will
first-
not have much of a defensive line without him.
No, but they're not playing in the AFC Championship game
Correct.
next week.
Yeah,
so
but
they got time.
listen, there's one thing. Let me throw, just for the sake of discussion. That's what we're doing here. Every level.
I like that. That's a
can't
good
wait
one
to
right
do
there.
that.
The
Yeah.
way you just did that, that's
Every level. You good? You should be out there with like the kid.
Yeah.
Do you guys want to be champions on every level?
Oh, I'm dropping every level. That's every practice.
I
is
feel like
getting
it's
every
now.
level.
It's like part
Yeah.
Irvin, part like Boss Hog.
Well, it's a lot like what it is it's. First of all, I love Boss Hog. I've thought
course
about
you
putting
do.
horns on the Tesla. But the other, I mean, would that
That's a whole nother
would that be
conversation.
amazing if I did that?
Yes,
I
That'd be
Mounted it right
I would
on
love
there.
hilarious.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
God, I'd love that. It's a little bit. The thing is it's very much like Ball, the dad.
Never lost.
Never lost. Every level.
Championships
kind of the same.
on every
It
level.
also sounds like Eddie Murphy in one of his characters for Coming to America.
Yes, it
I just
does.
think whenever we
Does
need
very
like a minute, just play that clip. Like
Just
I
play
could listen to them
every
yell
level.
at him. It was wow, just a delight. So here's for the point of discussion, since my brain finally actually remembered what I was going to say. I think it is, given the competitive nature of the AFC, I think
razor's edge.
it's a razor's edge. You said it. So like the notion that let's take our best defensive player off field for 8 games and we're going to be just fine. I don't know if I
don't
agree
know
with
about
that.
8. I'm not saying 8.
That's
but
what
I don't,
he's prepared to do.
Right.
So
I
like
don't-
if you're why would you do it at 4 if you're not going to do it now? You're either going to meet his demands or you're not.
Well, they obviously are banking on him caving on his.
That doesn't
demands.
seem to happen. I mean, the last high-profile holdout that I really remember, and I'm sure there have been many
Okay.
in between here, was the Dallas Cowboys and Emmitt Smith. You remember that?
Mm-hmm.
And the Cowboys started off like 1-2 or something. They were not, and then they paid him the money.
Pays that man his money.
Yeah.
All right, so this is the Chiefs. This is pretty manageable for them, okay? Lions at Jaguars, Bears at Jets, at Vikings, Broncos, then Chargers, Broncos, Dolphins. That's how they open.
Oh, they get the Broncos out of the way early.
Yeah, but those are
But there's not like a Super Bowl winner in there, except maybe the Jets.
Hold on, trade right here. With Chris Jones still holding out, the Chiefs just traded a 6th-round pick to the Las Vegas Raiders for defensive tackle Neil Farrell, per sources. That's Adam Schefter 5 minutes ago. Adam Schefter 1 minute ago. The Chiefs have released safety Deion Bush and defensive tackle Danny Shelton.
Big Danny.
Our guy.
Big Danny. All right, final one.
Fact or fiction?
Taking the Browns out of this, fact or fiction, the Jets are the favorite to win the AFC going into the 2023 season.
No, fiction. No, the in fact, we have a way to actually check that now that we have
Odds.
Bally Bet.
We're live,
now
baby.
live in Ohio. No, the Chiefs are I think it's Chiefs, Bengals, Bills. I think the Jets actually might be good value. I think they're going to be really good.
I'd put the Jets ahead of the Bills.
I like the Jets. I think Rodgers is going to be lights out. I like the
Just don't know
mojo
what's
around
gonna
that
happen
team.
with the Bills. I don't know what's going on with the chemistry there, and we've talked about it all offseason. I'm not sold.
What was Manning his first year in Denver? Was it the first
Amazing.
year there? Well, was it the first year
Peyton?
where he had like the greatest season he's ever had in his life?
Yes.
Or was it the second season when he went nuts there?
I think it was
I
the
want to
first.
say it's the second. I don't know. The
All
year
right,
that
I'm
he
pulling it up.
You're talking about the 50 touchdown year?
Yeah, he had the one. All right, here we go. So his first year in Denver, I think it's
think it was his
they went
second, right?
13-3 his first 2 years in Denver. So first year in Denver, 70. Yeah, it's the second year when he goes bonkers. 68% passing, 54-77, 55 touchdowns, 10 picks. The first year he went 68%, 46-59, 37-11. Finished second in the MVP. The next year he won the MVP. But yeah, so like they went 13-3, 13-3, 12-4 the first 3 years with Manning, and then he went 7-2 the last year, and that's when they won the Super Bowl.
Yeah, he's really good.
That's a little
Demarius
fact-fiction.
Thomas, Emmanuel Sanders.
Garrett Wilson.
Well, Garrett
They probably
Wilson
wish
would
they
be
still
there
had
now.
Elijah Moore, would be my guess.
Yeah, you would think so.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, Browns fans, Cleveland Browns Daily. We're broadcasting live from Buffalo Wild Wings in Aurora next Tuesday, September 5th, 1 to 3. Special guest Greg Pruitt will sign autographs on site from 2 to 3. Visit Cleveland Browns Facebook page to learn more on that. Jake Trotter will join us at the top of the hour. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily, brought to you by Ballybet, sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns, now live in Ohio on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Hey, Browns fans, you want to experience the 2023 Browns season, some of the best seats in Cleveland Browns Stadium, visit lecom.edu/Browns for your best chance to win 2 field seats for the 2023 season, courtesy of Lake Erie College of Osteopathic Medicine. Sweepstake ends on August 30th. As we head out on the Twisted Tea Hotline, brought to you by Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea, official sponsor of your Cleveland Browns. Keep it twisted. Cleveland, our good buddy Jake Trotter of ESPN joins us. Jake, thanks for the time, bud. Any surprises for you so far on the cut downs?
No, I really don't think so. Going into the weekend, I think that, they had one version of the 53-man roster. I think after Jakeem's injury and Cade York's continued struggles, that changed some things. But, I thought Ronnie Hickman would make it. I thought Diabate would make it. I thought A.J. Green would make it. So I think the guys that it looked like or maybe the 49th, 50th, 51st guys, looks like they're going to make it. Austin Watkins was a tough one, but, I felt like if they were going to keep 7 receivers, it was going to be because of Jakeem Grant and not because of some other player. And, I think they're still kind of working around the edges here. I don't know that they are completely done. Might be a couple of guys they would like to trade before they cut them. So we'll see what happens here.
Jake, where did the notion that A.J. Green was in trouble come from?
Well, I think that if you're looking at roster composition, you traditionally would want, 10 defensive backs. The Browns, it looks like, are going to keep 11. Yep. And I know that the Browns wanted 5 safeties, which is where Ronnie Hickman made the cut as the 5th guy. But if you're going to keep 5 safeties and 6 corners, your roster starts to get a little tight elsewhere.
Yep.
Now, one thing I don't know is whether they're going to keep Mike Ford. He's a special teams guy. I don't know if that's been reported or not. I'm not sure yet.
I think Mike Ford's going to make it.
Back.
I think he's going to make it. Right now, the roster decision that's left out there, right, is it Mike Ford or Maurice Hurst. But I feel like whoever isn't on the initial 53 is a wink, wink, nod, nod. When we put, Jordan Kunaszyk and Alex Wright on IR, you come back.
And I think Felton is the other one out there. Now, if Felton's still on the roster in a couple of hours or in an hour, then I think he is going to get cut. I would expect him to get claimed. I thought he really showed that he could get some. We'll see what happens here. But yeah, I think we're down to like the last 2 or 3 guys. So back to what you were saying about A.J. Green. This guy's a good player. It's just, are you going to keep 11 defensive backs? And if so, where are you going to cut elsewhere? I really think the Jakeem Grant injury really helped A.J. Green. I think that maybe opened up a spot, for a guy like Green, to slide in and be that 11th defensive back.
Jake, just from where you and Z and I were talking about this earlier, like there's this front office and this ownership is going to be aggressive when there's opportunity to be aggressive. We've kind of centered on, perhaps someone who's actually has some established carries in the league at running back rather than as limited the experience that there is currently behind Nick Chubb. So that was a position. Do you agree with that? Where else could you see them maybe taking a look from a position breakdown standpoint as cut downs happen around the league?
Yeah, and that's where Felton, I think, got, getting squeezed a little bit is because, Elijah Moore is kind of that player for them offensively. He's kind of playing that role that Demetric Felton might play on another team. With Ford's injury, you need another back that can, be an every down type back as a backup to Nick Chubb. And that's not really what Felton does. And so I think stylistically, he wasn't really a fit for this new offense that the Browns are going to be introducing this year. So, yeah, I do think that they wanted somebody who could be explosive, that could be, and it sounds like this new addition is, even though I can't, to be honest, I haven't seen him play or can't recall seeing him play.
4.37,
but it sounds more like
the good burst.
Yeah, kind of guy that they wanted based on what I'd been hearing going into cut day.
Talk with Jake Trotter, who covers the Browns. And Jake, when you look at the big moves over the weekend, one was the trade for Pierre Strong. There was a trade of Josh Dobbs as well since last time we've talked to you. And then obviously the decision to trade for Dustin Hopkins. Let's start with the kicker conversation. What did you, coming out of Kansas City, what were you thinking? And then what do you think of how it all ultimately unfolded?
I mean, I think going into Kansas City that they were still leaning toward keeping York and that he was going to be their starting kicker going into Cincinnati. I mean, maybe you heard differently, Nathan.
No, I would agree with that.
That's the sense I got. And I think after he hit that field goal with like 5 minutes to go, like a 40-yard field goal, I think at that moment he was going to be the starting kicker against Cincinnati. And not to say that the miss at the end was the reason, but I just think it was the final data point where they were just like, we're all in on this season, and we've got to have a reliable kicker. And right now, Cade York is not. He had missed 3 game-winning field goals in 2 preseason games. And there's just no way you were going to have a ton of confidence in him going into the first month of the season, which is critical for the Browns based on who they play, 3 divisional opponents. So as soon as he missed that last one, I felt like that was probably it. And then when you heard Kevin Stefanski, who had really backed him up to that point, declined to say anything about whether, he was going to be their starter going into the Cincinnati game, I think that was, fait accompli at that point. It was just a question of, were they going to go get a guy like Folk, who I believe got traded today to
He did.
Tennessee. Is that right?
Yep.
Or the guy they ended up getting. It was clear that they were going to try to make a move for a veteran kicker. And I wouldn't write off Cade York kicking in the NFL at some point. I don't know if it's ever going to be for the Browns, but we've seen some of these guys struggle early who are talented, who catch on somewhere else. I don't know what the plan is for Cade, but wouldn't be the worst thing in the world for him to maybe have a change of scenery and kind of rebuild his confidence elsewhere, because we saw it in the Carolina game. He's a talented guy. It's just gone haywire for him for whatever reason since he made that kick.
Yeah, it has. And aside from the kicker, the rest of the stuff we're discussing here is bottom roster. It's last couple of guys making the team, and barring significant injuries, the impact will be pretty minimal for all of these guys. But big picture, you're a little more than 10 days from playing Cincinnati in the opener here in Cleveland. You were at every availability that there was at camp, Jake. How do you assess this training camp now that it's completed for this Browns team? Did it get done what it needed to get done?
It's impossible to answer that. Ask me this in 1 month, then I'll have a better answer for you. I mean, I think that they were fortunate not to have any serious injuries, although, this Denzel Ward thing is a little worrisome considering the opponent they have coming up. If you're going to need Denzel Ward for any team in the NFL, it's for the Bengals. But for the most part, really didn't have any major injuries with the exception of Jakeem Grant, which hurts, and he was going to help them on special teams. I think that, they got some confidence in that Kansas City game, even though, they're playing against the backup Kansas City defense. They were able to move the ball. You're going to get Marquise Goodwin rolling again here, which is positive. Amari Cooper, after kind of a slow camp, I think really came on the last couple of weeks. So it seems like you're ramping up everybody at the right time. But, people ask, was the Greenbrier a good idea? I don't know. We'll know after the first month. What they got out of this training camp is not going to be revealed until we see how they do the first month of the season.
And they're going to get tested, as you mentioned, Cincinnati week 1, Steelers week 2, Ravens week 4, so it will all be there for them. Let's go back to Kansas City. When the starters left the field, 22-3 was the score at that time. What did you see from the Browns starting and defensive units, minus Myles Garrett, Joel Bitonio, and obviously Nick Chubb?
So I think the biggest potential difference we're going to see defensively is, and I think people don't realize this because Myles Garrett makes so many plays himself, but this really has not been a playmaking defense.
Yep.
Really in a long time. And when it has made plays, it's mostly been Myles Garrett, sometimes Denzel Ward. The Browns have really struggled to rack up sacks, tackles for loss. interceptions, pick sixes. I mean, we just haven't seen a lot of that, and it's hard to win in the NFL with how good these offenses are, especially in the AFC, if you're not forcing negative plays. I think you saw against Kansas City what this could be. The Juan Thornhill pick six. McLeod got in there with an interception, and I think Miles and Za'Darius might be the strength of the entire team right now.
Yeah,
those
Za'Darius.
Two guys coming off the edge, especially with Obo, backing them up. So I think that this has a chance to be a real playmaking defense that could be in the top 10 in the NFL. And I think Kansas City gave us a glimpse of the upside of what this could be under Jim Schwartz.
Yeah, and it's that's the thing that's tough about the Denzel news, right? I mean, and I know it's optimistic, and I saw him on my way in here today, and who knows what you see when a guy he looks great, so who knows? But you hope that he's back. But it is predicated on that part of it, that you have those lockdown guys, because the front, and that's probably, I guess when I ask the question of like, has this been a good camp? It really comes down to what we saw in Philly more than anything else to me. Like, could you physically hang with
Yes.
a team that physical? And the answer there was emphatically
Definitively
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I wasn't in Philly for the joint practices, but based on every account I read, I think everybody was more impressed with the Browns' defense than anything.
Yep.
And I think that would have surprised some people maybe going into training camp, haven't been paying attention. But, the Browns defense could be really, really good. And, if the passing game can come along like we think it should and could, you're really not going to have a lot of weaknesses on this team. So, I think physically the defense, the way that it hung in there against a very physical Eagles offense, to me was really encouraging for the season, because guess what? In the AFC North, what you got to be? You got to be physical.
Yeah, and you got to be disruptive to these quarterbacks in this division and in this conference at large. Speaking of quarterback, Deshaun Watson in that one showed off. I thought made a couple of really good throws. The touchdown to David Njoku, the first play to Donovan Peoples-Jones, and then showed what he could do out of structure on that play to Amari Cooper. What did you see from Watson? And obviously there were some throws that he did not have on the money like he normally would. One was low on a third down to Elijah Moore. But what did you see overall from him, and how do you feel about where this offense will be once we get Nick Chubb on the field as well?
Yeah, I mean, the one thing that's difficult to evaluate Watson in practice is that, he is so good at evading the rush and making plays. And, in training camp, it's hard to see what that looks like, because, you're not allowed to go after the quarterback, even in the joint practices. And, the play gets, blown dead, or even when they allow it to go on, it's like, is this a real play or not? And I think you saw in the Kansas City game, and even that Washington series that he played, he just is very difficult, to bring down. And that was something that didn't go away last year. He didn't play the way that he's capable of playing in those 6 games at all. But the one thing that, he still was able to do, I felt like, was, make plays out of the pocket. Now, he probably bailed outside the pocket a little bit too much last year. He probably held onto the ball a little bit too often last year, but he is so difficult to bring down. And something that this offense has been missing is the chunk plays in the passing game. And you saw in that Kansas City game, when things break down, receivers are going to be open. And I think the wideouts are going to be more aware of, hey, okay, my route's over, but the play is not over. I can still get open. And I think at times offensive linemen, receivers maybe gave up on the play last year because they weren't used to that style. I think they're going to be used to it now, and I think it's going to create a lot of opportunities for some big plays downfield in the passing game.
Jake, great stuff as always, buddy. Thank you so much for your time.
Okay, guys. Happy 53 day. We'll see you.
Let's go.
Absolutely. The great Jake Trotter joining us via the Twisted Tea hotline, brought to you by Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea, official sponsor of your Cleveland Browns. Keep it twisted, Cleveland. Coming up next, a little fun with some NFL survey in terms of how to view some of the big picture news around the league, a little higher, lower, better, or worse as well. You listen to Cleveland Browns Daily, brought to you by Ballybet, sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns, now live in Ohio on 850 ESPN Cleveland. All right, to celebrate the 18th Cleveland Brown being inducted into the Hall of Fame, Tide Cleaners has an incredible offer. $8 off any order of $18 or more. Just mention Browns at drop-off. Tide Cleaners, your one-stop shop for all dry cleaning and laundry service needs. Visit TideCleaners.com for the location nearest you. Some exclusions may apply. See store for details. This is in The Athletic. They did an NFL agent survey. They surveyed 23 reps on the various hot-button topics around the league. So these are quotes from agents. Here's the first topic. Should or could anything be done to address the depressed running back market? Let's pretend that you are an agent first before we listen to what they have to say.
I would try to represent running backs who could run it and catch it at a very high level.
Yeah, and of course, if you're an agent, of course you would want to address this because you potentially will have running backs.
But even in here, they're anonymous, and they say there's just no fix. It's their money isn't being spent on them. Money's being spent everywhere, but you can get 80% of these elite running backs for much less than the elite running backs cost. So.
That's the Bijan Robinson conversation right there. Some of these quotes, this one, these are all from anonymous agents. This should have been in the CBA, whether a lack of vision or oversight or indifference. It's not there if Saquon Barkley and Jonathan Taylor can't get paid, essentially saying then who should get paid.
But what would be in the CBA? You have to pay running backs?
You have to pay running backs? It doesn't make any sense. No. Probably an agent for one of those two. Outside of radical changes to the CBA, running backs that run will get and catch will get paid. Pure running backs, yikes.
There are two good answers in here that are actually reflective.
This is a really good one. The next one's really good.
You can read that one. That's one of them.
I want players to make more money, but this isn't the 90s.
The next two are silly. Then the one that starts with "I feel horrible for these guys." I think that's just the truth.
Yeah, this is the real truth, Boots. He says, I feel horrible for these guys. Unfortunately, the market is what the market bears, and right now running back is seen as an expendable committee position. The only thing that they could do, and this is not realistic, is to get every single running back to withhold their services so the teams have no one, and then they will be forced to pay.
Anybody on the street would be like, I'll come run for your team.
Run. Yeah.
Yes.
As specialist Christian is, speaking of McCaffrey, if the 49ers wanted to say, we don't want to pay you what we're paying you anymore, then they go find another good player, not as good as Christian, not even close, but another good player, and they probably win games with that player. That's when you're expendable. Like, this is just the market.
Just the market.
So much has been made of this, but I will say this, it's probably the most marketable.
Yep.
It's the most marketable, coolest thing in sports that is compensated the way that it's compensated. Does that make sense?
Running back?
Yeah. Like, it's little kids want to be running backs or quarterbacks.
Yep.
Our whole life,
coming up. Receivers coming up.
It is, but still, like, even now, it is for sure. Like, the little kids are.
But the best players always play running back.
They always play running back in youth, and then that's the way that it goes. But yeah, it's so in that sense, it's just not what we're used to, but it is what it is. What do you think of the Jonathan Taylor Colts feud? You've made your opinions on this earlier. We asked you about this.
Well, I just don't think there's any leverage, and that's the third one. Taylor does not have any leverage, but the Colts owner, this is the quote, but the Colts owner should get out of the way and let his GM handle it. I think that's exactly right there. And the next one says, if Irsay had kept his thoughts to himself, Taylor likely stays and plays. Instead, Irsay ruined it and gave Taylor an easy reason to demand a trade. Why not take it since the franchise is not showing a ton of promise?
Yeah, this is one of those things with Irsay where, didn't this thing just elevate over Twitter?
It did, and the comments that, that he's replaceable, I think this one is very right on. I think it's fueled by bad agent advice compounded by a devaluation at the running back position. I mean, that's really where we're at. That's it. Taylor is tremendous. The Colts also won 13-20-1 in his 2 playoff-less seasons. So it's like when Branch Rickey told Hall of Famer Ralph Kiner in contract negotiations, we finished last with you, we can do that without you.
Yeah, and it's back at that running back position thing again, too, where – you pick one of these guys in the first round like they did with the Colts, and then you build an offense around him. He scores 2,000 points. You say, well, look how important I am. And the reality is it's really what Saquon Barkley did, and it's what Josh Jacobs ended up doing. What was Jacobs, 12? Jacobs was 12, wasn't he? Wasn't that what the number on Josh Jacobs
for 1
was?
year? $12 million to come back, yeah.
Yeah, that's it. That's the market. That's what you're worth. What are your thoughts on Lamar Jackson's contract extension? And how he got there with the Ravens despite no formal agent.
Yeah, so, I mean, he did a good job. I think what the agents would say is he probably could have gotten that done a year earlier, then he's a year closer to another contract. But I think at the end of the day, as long as he's happy with the process, that's all that matters is a quote. People helped him. So did the Jalen Hurts deal is another quote. This was an interesting one. Missed opportunity for everyone here. He had a chance to get what Watson got with guaranteed money. If he pushed more, he got a great deal and good for him, but Watson and Cousins remain outliers rather than trendsetters.
Well, we've seen that. I think
Yep.
the next time we will find out where that sits is Burrow, because Herbert didn't get there.
Right.
So will Burrow get there from a total guarantee perspective? All right, what do you make of Aaron Rodgers pushing the Jets for at the end of his saga with the Packers and in the name of player empowerment?
I think this quote right here is right on it. Only the 1%ers can pull this off. Running backs are realizing this. Positions don't matter in the NBA. There are only 5 starters, and any of them can create significant contract leverage and quite frankly, be a difference maker.
Yep.
In the NFL, only the quarterback compares. And I think that's 100% right.
With the devaluation of the running back, the quarterback position over the last 15 years has just it's always been the whole time. You and I are men, we're 40. When we were young, quarterback was one of the coolest positions in sports, one of the most important. It is so far exponentially grown to what it is now from an importance. I don't even know what else is in the vicinity of
In the NFL?
No, in
Nothing.
sport.
Sport? No, it's the number one.
In sport.
Nothing.
Like the difference between the importance of having a great quarterback and the next position in football versus anything in sport compared to the next position in that sport. It's just not. It's just so important and critical, and we're at a point now where we're kind of at the most talent I think we've ever had at the position in the sport. I don't think we've ever had this much.
Yep.
We're at a point now where, for the most part, we're really good at evaluating quarterbacks in the draft. I mean, the guys that have been picked recently in the first round, a great many of them have been very good. There was a stretch coming towards the end of Manning and Roethlisberger and Brady, although Brady just ended recently, but even Rodgers as he aged, where a lot of those first-round picks didn't hit. They weren't home runs.
Yep.
I mean, the last 5 years, there's been a ton of home runs when you think of the guys who have come out of the draft.
Yeah.
Ready to go.
Ready to go.
Yeah. All right. In 2010, top quarterbacks are making $20 million annually. Now it's 52.5. When will someone hit $100 million
This
annually?
decade.
Yeah.
I think by the end of the decade.
Yeah. I mean, the money's just going to keep going up on the TV.
Yes.
You're
Money's going to keep going up.
pay
Salary
quarterbacks.
cap's going to keep going up, all of that. And then you have to wonder what quarterback says, you know what, I don't need 80. I'm good at 80. Take that other 20 for the rest of my team. You know, I think that would be the one thing that would be maybe prohibitive towards it, but I think that's definitely the direction it's going. This is one thing that I think is great for Browns fans to kind of think about, because there was a time when I'm pretty sure we would have been on this list.
Okay.
Said if the Commanders are no longer the NFL's most unstable franchise, who is? 23 agents. Cardinals 9, Colts 4, Texans 3, Commanders 2, Cowboys 1, Jets 1, Raiders 1. No answer 2. So
most unstable?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even the ones that they said are unstable are pretty stable.
Yes.
Like the Bidwells aren't selling the Cardinals.
Yes.
There's no movement for that. Incompetent, fine, but not unstable.
Sure. I think that's probably what it meant.
Yeah. I mean, forever it was the Raiders. It was the Raiders and the Chargers until they got stadiums.
Yeah. Here's one. Among GMs and front office leaders, whom do you trust the most? Brandon Beane of the Bills had 3 votes. He was number 1. Others who received a vote, Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah received a vote, as did our own Andrew Barry.
Nice. Good humans, both.
Yes, very much so.
This one a little lower down. Do you think Lionel Messi's MLS contract, which includes a cut of the TV package and profit sharing for sponsors, could become a trend in all sports, including the NFL? No. Because you're never going to get a position where a league is in its infancy still, 20-some years old, trying to grow, and a player of that caliber can – in soccer, he's not – it's the line from Daenerys Targaryen. I don't want to be a spoke in the wheel. I want to break the wheel.
Break the wheel.
He's the break the wheel guy.
Yep.
So that's – no, the NFL is way, way too far established on that front. Should the NFL allow private equity or international entities to buy a team? 10 of these voters, there were, 15 taken. 10 said no, 9 said yes, 4 had no answer on that side of it. So that's the Saudi trust situation happened with golf and is happening with many of the – and by the way, that whole league that they built, that league they have over there is going to be really good.
Yes.
Already is. They've got The amount of people they've signed already in
wild.
basically 2 off seasons. Yeah, they got infinite cash. You can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
All right, very good. Coming up next, we'll play a little higher or lower, better or worse. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily, brought to you by Bally Bet, sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns. Now live in Ohio on 850 ESPN Cleveland. All right, be sure to catch the Kevin Stefanski Show tonight at 7 with Z and Gerard on the University Hospitals Cleveland Browns Radio Network. Coach and Marquise. Oh, that's fun, man. Marquise on. That's great.
Yeah, I'm excited to talk
Such
to
good
him.
news. Speaking of, we have a 53 now. Right?
Play
Is
the
that-
first segment of the show. You're welcome. Well, the final decision, we didn't know if Maurice
The
Hurst
only
or
thing we
Mike
didn't know.
Ford
That was
would
it.
be the one whose contract was
Although
terminated.
we did discuss Maurice Hurst.
Yes. And so
Specifically.
Maurice Hurst, he was, I think, the last cut. My guess is Maurice Hurst will be back because you've got Jordan Kunashik and Alex Wright on this 53, both of whom will be going on injured reserve. That frees up 2 roster spots. I think one will be Maurice Hurst back the defense. The other, I think, will be on the offense, whether that's Michael Dunn or they bring in a veteran running back or maybe another guard that isn't Michael Dunn. But my guess would be Michael Dunn or a veteran running back would get that one. And then a lot of these guys, here's who was cut. Jalen Darden, I'll give you if I think they're a practice squad candidate or not. Jalen Darden, yes. Demetric Felton, yes. Mike Harley Jr., yes. Sam Kamara, yes. Tanner McAllister, yes. Lonnie Phelps, yes. Charlie Thomas, yes. Isaiah Thomas, Togiai, Watkins, all yes. And if Cade York makes it all the way through, yes for him as well. So instead of giving yes or no, I just gave you the yeses.
Good job. There you go. So it's ended up 23-20. What is it, 23-27?
23-27 right now.
Sure. Initial 53 kids.
And you're
Remember
going to
that.
have 2 people off of that defense. Kunashik and Wright go to injured reserve. One will be replaced, I'm thinking, by Maurice Hurst, and then one will be replaced on an offensive side. My guess would be a guard or a running back. And then if it's not a guard, they will put a lot of guards on the practice squad. If it's not a running back, they'll put probably a couple running backs, Felton, and then maybe a veteran as well on the practice squad.
Yeah. So the idea being it'll end up 24-26.
That's my guess, yeah.
Well, more than a guess when you're talking to the Z.
No, feels like.
Pay attention to the scores, kids.
Yeah, we had the
Sometimes it's just your big brain.
23-27.
Sometimes it's just the big brain, buddy.
Yeah, well.
Good job out of you.
There you
Very
go.
good job. Hello, Gibbe.
Fact or fiction, there'll be more offensive players than defensive players.
That's right. That's right.
Fiction.
That's exactly right, Gibbe. Very good. Very good.
Oh,
How you been, buddy?
Sure.
Yeah.
It's been a little busier this week than I would have liked. I was kind of hoping for a little, I knew today would be a little crazy,
Yeah.
but the whole week's been a little busy here so far.
Well, I don't know about you guys, but it's weird. I mean, I just think the way that the NFL does this calendar now is I don't particularly like it.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll take it.
No, I know, but I understand. But the idea of playing Saturday, cutting down till Tuesday, couple of practices off, and then play the next week. It's just I don't love the timeline of it all.
I have no problem
kinda
with
feels
it.
disjointed.
Because trying to find Zagura as he was on a tube in the middle of the weekend to do a roster podcast.
Oh, man, yeah.
Was not exactly
Where were you
ideal.
tubing?
With Michigan, we always go to Michigan Labor Day weekend.
Oh yeah.
True.
You're saying that's where he will. That's right. He
Yeah.
that
In the
would be
past.
problem.
Trying to find bodies
In the
in
past.
the middle of the weekend when we have our cut down at
Yeah, that's
Saturday
true.
at
Yeah,
4
that's no
o'clock
good.
was
Yeah.
not ideal. I like having the entire weekend off.
That's true.
Watch
That's-
a little
that
college
part's nice,
football
yeah.
and
Good. Pretty solid week for it. Not great,
no.
but pretty good. There's some good ones.
So just an FYI, this is what people are saying. Remember what you saw the tweet earlier about somebody talking about the volume and the levels and whatever?
Yes.
So supposedly you're really loud.
In there.
Yes. You and there go through the stream like 10 times loud as the two of us do. So they said that his eardrums popped when he talked about throwing your plate in the trash, which I know was you saying that. And somebody else
Yes.
said it
Yep.
was Gibbe. So there it is.
There you go.
All right.
Yeah.
He's too strong, too bassy. Every level.
He's got it down.
Yeah, his is so good.
His is
His is elite.
It's just
Spot on.
it's just ball. It's just ball mixed with herb.
yeah.
That's all it is.
Never lost.
Never lost. Every level.
I've won championships at every level.
Like it always feels with herb like he's almost like he's like got his cheeks are full of some sort of like sunflower
like
seeds or
Brando.
something or tissue.
So
Yeah.
is he officially off of NFL Network?
Yes.
I'm assuming.
Yes.
I think so.
It's
I
quite
mean,
sad.
that was kind of the way life is good.
I will say this, like,
Of course.
I understand that Fox has their pregame show with Howie and Jimmy Johnson,
Oh my God,
all
they
those
got
guys.
1,000 people on
million.
that show.
But like, if you took that little group of guys and put them out instead,
Here's what you do.
Wait,
no,
talking about
because they don't.
Hoff,
here's-
Smith, and Irv.
Here's
that
why.
show?
Here's
The
why.
best.
Here's why that won't happen, because that show and the CBS version of it, they don't want chaos. They don't want headlines. They want something that they can put to up fronts, that they can go to advertisers, that is glossed and clean. They don't need headlines coming out of that.
There
show,
isn't a
those
thought
shows.
on those shows that
None.
isn't accounted for.
Oh my God.
Correct.
No. Yeah,
mean,
they don't
Like,
want.
there are no surprises.
They want no controversy on those shows. I'll tell you where you would want. What I would want, like Irv, Hoff, and Steve, or Irv, Sherm, and Hoff, some combination like that. I would actually love it on like what used to be Inside the NFL, except on when it was on HBO. Now I don't even know where it is. It might even be on like CW or something now. At one point it was on Showtime, but like a truly unfiltered NFL show where you could
Yeah.
I get on board with that.
I'm
accentuate.
into it.
I think there would be value in that.
Absolutely.
But they just on those those Sunday morning shows, like I think there was one last year where I watched for like 20 minutes, and it was just the most common sense nonsense. And all those guys get paid bigly.
Yes.
Yes.
But it's just nothing.
It's the best job in
There's
sports.
there's
Yeah.
nothing to them.
Guys, I just want to, in world, or maybe I should say interstellar news.
Okay.
So there was a meteor that fell to the Earth in Papua New Guinea in 2014.
Okay.
Now the professor and theoretical astrophysicist Avi Loeb at Harvard University says he and a team of scientists are one step closer to making the determination after they retrieved suspected remnants of the meteor that these small metallic objects are actually interstellar in origin. They are new alloys that have never been discovered. Historic discovery represents the first time humans put their hands on materials from a large object that arrived to Earth from outside of our solar system. Not sure if they're man-made.
I wonder if
Or
there
not.
is any sort of if that is all a coincidence to the bug bite for me yesterday.
My guess,
I mean, is this going to be Men in Black?
is they are related. That's
I
my
think so
guess.
too. I think this could be a Men in Black situation.
Yeah.
Real quick.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right. With that, maybe this is your last week playing higher or lower. Maybe you'll be here
Could
next
be.
week. Maybe you won't.
Yeah, who knows?
I mean,
See?
Do you guys have
Not
time for
rooting for
one
that.
more headline that's pure nightmare fuel?
All we have.
I think we're going to move higher or lower to tomorrow is the way that this is trending right now.
Neurosurgeon investigating mystery symptoms plucks a worm from a woman's brain in surgery.
I
That
think one went into my knee.
you might have like
Straight in.
Quato end up living in
Could
your
be.
knee.
Could be. It's in play.
Oh man.
Thoughts
great.
and prayers.
I'm out here trying to serve the young gentleman yesterday, trying to put on a good practice. This is how I get repaid.
Every level.
It's unbelievable.
Every level. Every.
That's good.
All right, let's do rapid fire. Higher or lower? It's
Let's go.
presented by
Let's
our
go.
great friends.
Do you have another?
No,
You wanna
I just
Yeah,
wanted
I was
to
going to say, you got something else?
one last thing.
I mean, it's fine. I don't
fine.
really care.
It's a good
Like,
joke. It's
we
a
can
good
move it
joke.
to tomorrow. We
Should I
got
say-
plenty of time.
Isn't it nice that we're at a stage with this team and this organization, like the 53 man? It's like, yeah, okay.
Okay, then let's have that conversation for a second. And you were
You're
you've
involved
see you
been
tomorrow.
Been
You've been
in this market for a very, very long time. I don't know that everyone has adjusted to that.
Agreed.
It feels like there are still people like making the biggest deal about the last guy on a roster, like making a huge deal about Austin Watkins. Like
can tell
Austin
you- I
Watkins
can
is
tell
a
you
really
on
nice
the,
guy. And he had a really good.
I hope he
camp.
gets a job.
Fine, but
on
like
the Browns Daily YouTube chat board, a lot of unhappy people with Austin Watkins. Austin Watkins, I love Austin Watkins.
sure,
Did we see a rep with the first team?
no, and it was
Okay.
no, but it's like this
I
disproportionate.
want him back.
like-
I want him back.
I want him back, and I think there's probably a good
Probably
chance
will
that he
get
ends
back.
up on the
Yeah.
practice squad.
Yes.
I think that
I am a big fan.
I'll throw out a name that
He made our
anybody
preseason fun.
listening will remember, or who was paying attention during some of the dark times. Cason Williams. You remember Cason Williams? Like
Yeah.
a 6'3" receiver for Seattle. He led the league in receiving in a particular preseason. Austin Watkins did as well. And I hope Austin Watkins goes on to have a very nice career. He was 6'2". They cut him. We had first waiver priority. We claimed him. Everybody thought he was
Super
going to
Bowl.
be our savior.
Yep.
He would have 9 catches for 84 yards with the Cleveland Browns. He would finish his career with 10 catches for 92 yards. I mean, it's just the odds are against these guys. But you certainly like what you saw
Yes.
from Austin Watkins.
I
and
wanna
I'd
see
like to have
more,
him in
but-
the program. And people are mad that they kept David Bell. Look, David Bell has college tape and tape against better players than Austin Watkins does of him dominating. And it's 1 year. they're going to give him probably this year as well to see
Yeah.
if he's got a little bit of juice, and then they can make a decision on that. But they're not just giving up on the guy who was the Big Ten Receiver of the Year,
Yeah.
was a Biletnikoff finalist. Like,
Yeah, you just don't do that.
they're just not doing that.
No.
But that's a little bit what happens because you had largely 15 years of not seeing good football.
Who was the?
So
I was,
you do this. I mean, I used to have conversations with Amy's relatives. It would be like, this was like cut down day was like Christmas because it was like, well, who'd the Steelers cut? Let's go get everybody.
Or the
Pittsburgh
Patriots,
cut.
yes.
Yeah. Everybody the Patriots cut. Let's sign all of them. We're long past that.
Way past that.
That's not
I was talking to Jacob
not where
Squared
it is.
Excuse me?
about that, and was the guy was the wide
Uno?
receiver? Was it Lenz?
Josh Lenz. Yeah.
Yeah.
He was at Alburia.
I think I owed you Taco Bell.
Yeah, you
I
did.
owed
You owe me.
Carmen.
There's so many taco meals that you owe me right now as we sit here today.
But I
At
was
least
on
like
board with
4.
Lenz. I'm like, how can he not make the team?
Yeah.
Like he was the training camp darling.
Yeah. Carlton Mitchell.
Listen,
I mean, there have been
someone
a
has
lot
to
of
Carlton
play
Mitchell was
at the
never
end of these
a training
games.
camp darling.
He was
Don't
a
even,
lot of
don't
people
even
like
go
Carlton
down
Mitchell.
that road. Never, ever, ever was he a
You
training
weren't a
camp
Carlton
darling.
Mitchell guy. Damon Sheehy Giuseppe.
Oh, that was,
That was
a
a
big
good
one.
That was-
training
that was
camp.
one.
That was a good
training camp
story.
darling guy.
Was that the Hard Knocks
Uh-huh.
year?
Yeah, and he
Was
took
he
a
on
pick.
that?
He took a kick back to the house.
Yeah.
The whole team ran down the field.
Carlton Mitchell, career stats: 3 catches, 31 yards.
I remember that was pre-COVID,
Never a training
obviously, and
camp
we would
darling.
see like Damon in here every day, the whole
Yeah.
time.
Oh yeah.
Wasn't that Zoe saw him in a tryout in Miami?
Yes, something like that, or run track. Yeah.
I think he was at a tryout in Miami,
yeah.
and
He
Zoe
was
was
like-
down there. Yeah.
He needed like money for like the cab fare
Yeah.
or something.
Oh yeah.
Like remember he was outside the
I
building.
wonder where he is
Oh, yeah.
now.
like with shoes just hanging
yeah,
out.
and said,
under,
"Let me
like-
give me a shot."
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's that type of stuff. Like it's a long camp. It's the practices are done to get the people who matter most sharp for the regular season. The games are not.
Right.
The games are not used.
I
for
think
that.
Austin Watkins can play in this league, and I
I
hope
do
that
too.
I
I'm
hope
not saying that. I'm just saying like it was like
I hope he gets a chance.
this wasn't cutting Jarvis Landry,
No.
right?
And by the way,
And who's not in the league. Yeah.
which is
quick fall off.
just wild.
Really quick.
He played through a lot
more
than I think is known. That guy will always be elite in my book.
Yeah, anytime like the boys will say like who's your favorite this, what's your favorite this, like he's always one
He's
of my
a- yeah,
answers.
he's on
He's
there.
always
He's
a
up
guy
there.
I mention is one of my favorites to be around is Jarvis, all timer.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Bless him.
that's what happens is you're playing we played 4 games this year. There's a huge amount of all of those games that human beings have to go play. And DTR was great. And he slung it all over the place. Someone's got to catch him.
Let me tell you something. The throw that DTR made while he was getting smacked by Charles Omenihu, who would have been, it was
that
going to
the
be
one
a
to
starter
Tillman?
for them, to Tillman over the middle on a 3rd and 15,
Yeah.
over the linebacker, stood in the pocket, took a blick, and delivered a strike, was a big time throw. That was a big time throw.
Tillman's going to be big time too.
Yes.
When does he get his new number?
We'll
Maybe
know
we'll
in
go
10 minutes.
when
we
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 go
could
out
know.
there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
maybe
could,
we go out there.
I'm
We're gonna
guessing
see
that's
it.
in short order on
We're
that.
going to see it.
So much more to come. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Well, there you go. The initial 53 is set. There will be some adjustments to this before you get to Cincinnati a week from Sunday. But for now, there is a 53.
Yep.
We've reached
What?
that point, ladies.
What are you
and
making?
gentlemen.
I mean, I think you've been a perfect 7 for 7 on screwing that up today.
I hit it and then said, "Yep."
I think it was
No, he's in the middle of doing a read for a partner.
No, there are no
he
reads.
wasn't.
No,
And all you hear is, yep,
no, I wasn't. There's no
Yep.
partner, Gibbe.
Are you out of your?
Yep.
You're in the room.
Gibbe.
yep.
Gibbe's in the room.
Oh my God.
Don't
Yep.
read.
This
Don't
is
read.
how, he's gonna go die. He's gonna go die on another hill.
Another
Buried
hill.
underneath an avalanche of facts for the second time in less than
Yep.
a week. Yep. Yes,
The
he
Hawk.
was talking about the 53-man roster.
That's true.
And then it was gonna change, and I was like, "Yep."
That's right.
These working conditions are starting to become hostile.
Oh, God.
Hostile
Good
work
news. You
conditions.
put in your 4 hours for the day. You're done.
There you go. Are you?
Do you see what I mean?
You see-
By the
are
way,
you-
I'm not good to go.
You're not because you
I've
have
got
a
2-minute
practice, and you
drill. I've got
a
training
drill.
camp insider. I'm going to interview the head coach of the Browns and Marquise Goodwin.
And you got a show.
Thank you. And a show tonight. You're welcome. I'll see you guys.
He's out.
8-hour day today.
He's out.
Wow.
We're back tomorrow.
He'll be back for 2
Am I
tomorrow.
still up? The next level is next. Cleveland Browns Daily 850 ESPN.
You've been listening.